You're tuned in to Repco Muscle Garage, the home of New Zealand's toughest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines. Proudly brought to you by Repco, in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Rislone. And this week, we've got a packed schedule. Later on, we head down the Waikato River to visit a fairly new show on the scene that's well and truly going from strength to strength, the Mangakino Lake Hop. And then we raid not just one shed, but several to see the amazing collection of Chevy obsessive Paul Bowden. But first, courtesy of Rislone, we're up in Auckland to take a closer look at a pretty amazing Holden. At first glance, you might not clock just how unique Barry White's 2000 Commodore VT SS actually is. But when you start to get under the hood, you realise this is something pretty different. A seriously high-spec racing machine with an unusual rear-mounted turbo setup. Put together specifically for Targa competitions and touring too, the SS has been through several iterations before arriving at this intriguing final form.
I picked it up on Trade Me because I was just scouring Trade Me for a Holden V8. I decided that's what I wanted. It was the best example I could find. I love the colour, tiger orange, and it was in pristine condition. So yeah, it was a private sale. Rocked up, bought it on the spot.
These days, from the twin turbo setup to the racing seats, the Kevlar doors and the widened rear end, barely anything in the car is to factory spec. Fairly standard setup the Holden had when purchased was never going to last long for someone like Barry. He pretty much immediately set to work, and some big dreams about a new turbo configuration led him to where he is today.
Started life with an LS1 and an auto. It's now got a built LS3, and it's got a wide body with 315s on the back, T75s on the front. I always felt whatever the factory gave us, we could improve on it. So when I picked the car up, it had a big bore exhaust with extractors, so it had the sound, but it didn't have as much go as I knew it could have. So took it for a tune, and we picked up 38 kilowatt at the wheels. So then I thought, okay, now it needs a cam, and then we made a bit more power. I think that was 250 kilowatt at the wheels. And that was a good fun car for a while. After the cam, it was time to get a bit more serious. I did some research, and there was a new thing out in the States called remote mount turbo setup. I didn't know anybody that had one in New Zealand, and we thought we'd give it a go. I went ahead, got the kit, worked beautiful. I think it was 450 horse at the tyre, and that was a daily driver for quite a long time. We knew that the old LS1 had a long life, but it couldn't go forever. It was still running well, so I decided to build it, and then an LS3 came up. It was a 2013 LS3. A guy had bought a Camaro, drove it off the showroom floor, crashed it. So it was a perfect scenario for me. Yeah, it made monster power down low, but it was running out up top. So we thought, needs a bigger turbo. So we took the turbo out of the back, Ronnie fabricated up the twin setup that we've got now. Didn't need the back seats anymore. Kids had moved on, so it was no longer the family car. So we thought, we'll make this a serious toy, and ripped the back seats out. The turbos are where they are now, and the exhaust straight through the door. The twin turbo, it was a dream of mine to have a custom built twin turbo setup and to have a built engine that could handle it.
Having owned plenty of Japanese turbo cars alongside numerous V8s in the past, Barry had a vision for his SS that was all about taking the best of both and then well and truly taking things to the next level. And after many iterations over the years, Barry's realised his vision, turning the Commodore into a bespoke beast, full of brilliant touches that make it unlike anything else on the road.
What makes the car unique is the turbos mounted behind me in where the rear seats used to go, straight out the door. I've never seen it done, so as far as I know, it's the only one. Wide body. I've never seen a four-door wide-body Commodore, ever. And it was quite a job to get that done. So it's selected 12-inch wide, 315 tyres on it in the back. Really soft compound, because cars with that kind of power, you're just going to go up in tyre smoke if you use a normal tyre. Tyres don't last long, but it works.
So Barry's taken quite a different road to get to a turbocharged V8. And the result is a ready-to-race powerhouse, but one that's still got the warrant of fitness.
Why is the car the best of both worlds? Because it does everything well. It's like a jack of all trades. It couldn't be a successful race car as it sits because it's also street legal. It couldn't be a daily driver because it's also suitable for racing, has race seats, and when you come up to a T intersection, you need a long neck. So it does everything well, which is what I wanted. I wanted a car that felt like a race car, drove like a race car, but was still street legal, still had aircon, because I'm getting old and I don't like to fry.
Barry's SS is also a fantastic example of why the appeal of Commodores continues. This car turns heads, and Holden fans in particular really take note of the unique setup. And Barry clearly loves the fact that something that started as a family car has become such an intriguing conversation starter, particularly because he's always been pretty passionate about Commodores and their endless possibilities.
I've parked on Targa events alongside some interesting cars, and I could be parked next to a McLaren and the children come running and looking at mine, and of course the children bring their parents, and I think it's being Holden. You know, everybody, you know, McLaren's, of course McLaren's fast, you know, Lamborghini's dream car. It's Holden, you know, so there's this relatability family car, but that's not like any Holden I've seen before, especially when they walk past the back window and take a second look. Yeah, it does capture the imagination of people. Oh, they love it. It's becoming nostalgic now. The appeal of the Commodore is, you know, they're not making any more. They were always a good car. They stood alongside anything coming out of Europe at the time. You know, dollar for dollar, I felt that they were a fantastic car. I look at the car now with a sense of satisfaction. I had, from a young boy, always dreamed of owning a twin-turbo V8. And that came from learning about a guy called Gale Banks, who was the first I know that started putting twin turbocharged V8s together, big block Chevys and small block Chevys, and putting them in jet boats. So that sort of got my imagination going as a young fella in the teens. It took me a long time to be able to do it. I'm 61, it's taken me 60 odd years, but I got there. And it's a car that's very personal. It's a journey, a long journey, and I'm glad I did it.
Protection of hybrid ceramic.
Whoa.
Now in 3 easy-to-use products. In original spray wax, now as a liquid wax, and a spray detailer. Meguiar's hybrid ceramic family with advanced SiO2 technology. Meguiar's, ceramic made easy.
Rizlone has been in engines almost as long as engines have been in cars. Why? Because from then until now, there's never been a perfectly clean fuel. This means every time you fill up, you're adding pollutants and contaminants to your fuel system. Rizlone Fuel Injector Cleaner can cure those woes and help save your engine. Rizlone Fuel Injector Cleaner adds an upper cylinder lubricant, providing double the cleaning power out of the same bottle. We know something about aging well, so when we say it's your engine's fountain of youth under a screw top, you can count on it. Rizlone is the original engine tune-up, available at participating stores near you.
Now, with a little help from the mount shop, we're Mangakino bound. During summer, it's a picturesque, bustling little lakeside town with all sorts of water sport pursuits on display. But until a few years ago, there wasn't much to speak of during the winter months. And then, one fateful day at the Mangakino Citizens Club, some mates got to thinking over a few beers. And the result is the Mangakino Lake Hop, held annually on the shores of Lake Maraitai on the Waikato River. It's a brilliant midwinter celebration of horsepower in all its forms. And it's for a great cause too, because all the funds raised go back into the community to fund local projects. The first Lake Hop in 2019 saw 280 cars officially registered and many more parked around the local streets. And since then, the organisers haven't looked back.
Well, we're all water sports lovers down here. That's why we're right beside the lake, obviously. But winter time, we come across and think, what the hell are we going to do? We're all sitting up at the RSA having a few beers. I looked around the table, there's half a dozen guys with cars, and I knew there was about at least another 10 or 12. So I said, oh, why don't we do a mini car show? So we put it on the local page here on Facebook, and next minute we know we had a full-blown car show, and we had 280 cars turn up in the first year, which we never expected to hit, and it's just morphed from there and just grown every year. We seem to be getting recognised nationally as an event, because every other car show you can go to have a look around the cars, it's great fun, but they haven't got the hydroplanes on the lake and the Formula One boats and heli flights and all that sort of stuff going on, so no, it's brilliant. Well, right from the start, we never limited the cars. Our motto was, if you've got a cool ride, and you think it's cool, and it's your pride and joy, you want to show it off, we're going to take you. And it just shows. And we've got, cars 50s, 60s, right up until, brand new ones, really. And they look cool and they sound good and the people are proud of them, so why not?
Beyond a whole heap of boats, there was a massive range of rides on display this year. From straight V8s to hot rods, cars straight out of the showroom through to some stone-cold classics. And a great mix of personalities that the Lake Hop attracts too, who were only too happy to pop the hood and have a yarn. It's
a Ford Fairmont, 1970 XW, running a 302 Windsor, C4 auto and 9-inch rear end in it. It's got a factory auto, it's column change, so it's a pretty stock car in that sense, yep. I'm always been a Ford man through and through, yeah. I've had Mark III Cortina 2-door, plenty of early Falcons, EAs, XFs, Falcons, so yeah, I'm a Ford man for sure. I'll just leave it as it is. The next group that I'm going to be doing will be hood lining and the front seats, getting them reupholstered. Then after that, I'll just drive it and enjoy it. It's a head turner, yeah. Everywhere we go, people just wave out, toot. I've had cars coming up beside us with cameras out the windows, trying to film, take photos. It's good to see the old girls out there and going hard, so beautiful.
Got a 93 Holden Commodore. Started life as a V6, and then this was its third motor, I believe. Now we've got a stroke 355 before the fruit. We've got a very lumpy cam, high-rise manifold just for that high revs. Got a Chevy 400 with a high stall converter in it. Yeah, it's been done pretty well. I couldn't afford to buy one that was done. So this was my way of doing my own hot rod, It was over a long time and just, any bit of money, chucked it at it. You feel like you're cruising along and then you chuck it down a gear and then you're on a mad rush, You can go from 100 to 170 in a couple of seconds, It's just hauls ass. Yeah, it's a beautiful car to drive.
I've got a 1963 Ford Mercury 2-door pillarless. I've got sitting in it at the moment a 260 small block with a lumpy cam in it. It's got a nice silver fleck on the top of it, also covered with a clear coat. For the patina look wise, just because it looks different, it's something different that people don't really see often. Yeah, I like the older cars, being grown up, I've always been in them. Just like the shape of them. The way they looked. I get a lot of looks of, being a young fella in a nice old car like that. They don't see much people like me with those, so a car like that. So I'm happy. When I'm driving it, it just feels like I'm in another world.
It's a 69 Mach 1, runs a 351 Windsor, 4-speed top-loader manual with the 9-inch arse end. We've done pretty well everything to it, like suspension rebuild, brakes, engine's been fully rebuilt. It's pretty well all of that, but it's the front end that does it for me. Headlight setup and that grille. I'm 21 again when I'm driving it. Yeah, makes me feel good. Very, very happy with it, yeah.
It's a 63 Bel Air. Del Shaw owns this car. He and his son built this from the ground up. It took them years, so it was a lot of father and son bonding time. It's a beast because she's powerful underneath the hood, so it just wants to go. Even if your foot's not on the gas, she still wants to go. The power, the noise, it's unstoppable. I feel like the king of the world when I drive this car.
So, in only a few short years, the small but dedicated and passionate team of volunteers have built themselves and their community one heck of an event. It's becoming a real highlight on the calendar, one of only a handful during winter, and the Lake Hop legend is only growing.
Well, each year it doubles, you know. Last year, I think there was 3,000 people here viewing it, and then, I don't know, 500, 400 cars. This year they're saying 600 cars, so it's growing. It's changed over the years. It's just a beautiful place.
Oh, awesome atmosphere, eh? Yeah, awesome.
Meet with people who think the same about cars, about engines, and just getting revved up.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it each time. Weather's always been on our side.
For us, it's never been about making money. We don't take a cent out of it. We just love giving back to the community, and anyone that wants to get involved and help us, we donate to. We help the golf course. It's just a small community that struggles in a lot of areas. So for us, it's about putting on a great show, great entertainment. We get a buzz from doing it, but we also get a buzz from helping the community out.
Now, thanks to our mates at Maguire's, it's shed raid time. And it has to be said, there aren't too many collections that compare to Wellingtonian Paul Bowden's. Ever since he was 17, Paul's owned at least one V8 at any given time. Over the years, he started amassing more and more. Now he's built a collection that'd be the envy of any enthusiast around the world, with what started as one shed now sprawling out to several, housing well over 20 immaculate classics and counting, with more tucked away in a few other locations around the country. And for Paul, the obsession starts and ends with one brand.
The theme is mostly Chevrolet, sort of 50s and 60s cars. Big, grunty cars, cool-looking cars. Australians make some pretty cool cars, as do other countries, but it was really the American draw, I suppose. Cool cars, really. Muscle cars, hot rods. There's a couple of non-Chev cars in the collection, but the theme really is revolved around Chevs, yeah. So other models that I like, 68 Camaros. I've got a bit of a passion for 68 Camaros. I've got, I think, 3 of them at the moment. A couple of race cars and a road car. Another car that I like is the 68 Chevelle car, and I've liked those Chevelles since I was at school as well.
Amongst the stunningly restored classics, there's also some race cars and a few more quirky vehicles scattered about too. And everything in this varied collection reflects just how strong Paul's passion for cars is in general, and obviously Chevys in particular. With so many stunners on display, it's a bit of a challenge to single any out. But there's a few that obviously hold a special place in Paul's heart.
So I've just finished the 55 Chev. It's a 2-door post car, big block Chev in it. It's been 4 years in the process, body off rebuild, and there's lots of people have been involved in the rebuild, but it's a car that I really wanted to have. It's a tough street car, and it's probably the one at the moment that I enjoy driving the most. I bought it in from the States. It was in pretty poor condition, I guess, when I got it. But I just, you know, the 2-door post car I like. So it was a body off chassis rebuild. And lots of people have been involved in the car, but it took 4 years to get it to the point where it's at now. It's road legal, it's certified, and you know, I drive it as much as I can, so I love it. I saw a film, American Graffiti, and 55 Chevs was really the car that I kind of got into. So that was the draw for me. It wasn't the first car that I had lots of Impalas and Chevs and things growing up, but I guess the car that kind of started the car thing for me was a 55 Chev that was in that film. It's a tough looking kind of a car, and it ticked the right boxes for me at the time, so 55s are where it's at really for me.
The 55 Chevy and many others in Paul's stable are restored in a faithful way. But he was also a keen drag racer back in the day. And in recent years, he's gone back to the race scene and had a few vehicles specced up for the track, including a much-loved monochrome Camaro.
The Camaro's a 1968 RS SS Camaro. Central Muscle Cars is the class that I race within, and it's a Group 2 car. So it's 410 is the size of the engine in it. It's one of those cars that 68 Camaro, I really love driving it. It's actually a road legal car, but we race it on the track.
Clearly, with such a big collection, Paul's not getting rid of cars that often. But if push came to shove, what Chevys would he never part with?
2 cars that I wouldn't let go of. The white 68 Camaro, it's a big block car, and I've had it for a long time. And the other car I wouldn't let go of is the 55 wagon. I mean, it was the family wagon for a long time. You know, when Sophia, our daughter, was growing up, you know, she came to every event that we had. We had the kids' seat in the back and all that kind of thing. So it's just got a special place, and you know, as far as the family's concerned, so I wouldn't let it go.
Unquestionably, this is one of the best private Chevy collections in the Southern Hemisphere. And happily, Paul's now decided that he'd rather share it with fans than keep it to himself. Because after years of planning, dreaming and scheming, he's underway with plans to build a car museum in the Hutt Valley, with foundations recently being laid.
So we're looking at opening a museum, a car museum. It's called Cars Inc. There's nothing in Wellington that people can go and have a look at cars. You see lots of cars driving past, but often you can't go and have a look at a car. So we're building a purpose-built car museum. It's in Trentham in Upper Hutt. We'll get about 70 cars in the museum. There's going to be a cafe attached to it as well. And I'll have a couple of cars on display of my own, but we've had, it's been humbling, the number of people that have offered us to put their cars into the museum for other people to have a look at. So that's the next thing on the boil for us. I can't wait, yeah.
Visiting Paul's property is like a shed raid on steroids. With the third shed on his property now well and truly packed to the gunnels, Paul's 20-strong collection really is a sight to behold. So how does he feel when he surveys the Chevy paradise he's painstakingly put together?
I feel proud of the collection that we've got. It's been a long time in the making, so we've got a number of sheds, obviously, and we've grown over time as the collection's grown. Started with one car, then 2 cars, and it's obviously grown into 20. So it's a long time in the making, and I'm passionate about cars. It means a lot to me.
Cheers for watching. We'll see you next week on Repco Muscle Garage. Feel like your car could do with some TLC? No worries, we've got every base covered, because we could be hooking you up with an incredible prize pack thanks to our sponsors. For a start, there's this massive Maguire's and Rislone complete car care pack valued at over $760. We've also thrown in this handy 85-piece Repco toolkit valued at $672. To stay on top of everything underneath, there's a $500 mount shop voucher. And last but not least, you'll also score a year's subscription to NZV8 magazine. That's a total prize pool of nearly $2,000. To enter, just head over to themotorhood.com and hit the Repco Muscle Garage link on the homepage. The winner will be drawn at the end of the series, so make sure you get amongst, because this prize pack is one major haul. Good luck. Repco Muscle Garage was proudly brought to you by Repco. It starts with the parts. Mount Shop Undercar Specialists. Maguire's, people who love cars love Maguire's. And Rislone, high performance additives for high performance vehicles.